So I will start just thanking you, the few of you being with us in this platform, online platform that we decided to do because we couldn't be in the starting of the promotion of this incredible project of Rehab, the longing of the stranger whose path has been broken. So Rehab and Tanya also were there last week in Cairo, starting the promotion of this book. And all the three different persons that are sharing with me this online platform and this small presentation that we're doing our parts, in a sense, have played a role in this book. So I'm just like going to introduce you, like my public. I mean, the public of the Trobades and Premis Mediterranis Albert Camus know a little bit about who you are. So first of all, there's Rehab Eldalil. She's the winner of our second award of the Premi Mediterranei Albert Camus Incipiens, and I'm going to explain a little bit further on what is about this prize. I was glad to work on this project also with Svetlana, that I had the opportunity to work with on this book, as she is also the co-publisher of this book, and she's the director of Fotoevidence, and she also is the one who has directed the prize of Fotoevidence Woman Award that also Rehab won, and that's the reason why we are the two of us in this project. And it is the first time for me to have the opportunity to meet finally Tanya. She has been the photo editor of this project. She has done an amazing job too. She's a photographer too. She's an artist. She's part of the Noor photo agency. And so I'm really happy to have you, three of you, here and in this online presentation. I just wanted first perhaps just like to introduce perhaps also about like our project very, very briefly. This project that is called Trobades and Premis Mediterranis Albert Camus has the name of Albert Camus on it because in 2017 we started this project in Menorca, because Menorca is the land of the grandmother of this writer, very well known Nobel Prize writer and thinker. And we decided to create a project that in a sense will renew with the thoughts and with the values that Albert Camus put together. We think that he's still a thinker that remains worldwide very well known, but also that he has these references of rebellion, of humanism, of justice, those kind of concepts that we think are very important to put on the field, that we need to reflect on what is going on nowadays. And so we decided to create this kind of project that in one sense we try to rediscover his thoughts. We think is still a light in these troubled times that we're living. And at the same time, what I try to do with this project is to be a sort of a platform for the contemporary voices. So for me, it's really important, even though we have like Camus as a guide, and we will come back to this idea of to be a guide, because we have, in a sense, she has in this her name this idea of guide, and she is the guide to us in this project through another community that is very important that we enlighten today and that we will celebrate with this book. And so about the project, that is, we try to put together a whole series of different personalities from different disciplines, of different origins too, and different generations, to reflect together on our current situation. So we do have very different activities during the year. We do sort of different presentation. This one perhaps, but also usually we try like to encourage the meeting, the supporting of different speakers. And our main project is during spring in Menorca, in this island of the Mediterranean. It's this island of lights in a sense, and it's this island also of the grandmother of the origins, where we're trying in the odd years, as this will be the year, to deliver the 2 awards that we have created, and also to celebrate the gathering with different people that we invite to Menorca. And then the even years, that mean last year, and this is where Rehab comes. It's the year that our different activities are constructed around the announcement of the two winners of our two prizes. And so last year we had the great chance that our jury decided to award Rehab in the prize that we have called the Premi Mediterranee Albert Camus Incipiens. And this prize is very particular and, in a sense, very important to us because it is related to what we call committed journalism. But journalism, as understood as a very large sense, that's why we promote projects that can be graphic or written text projects or photographic projects. And we tried, the jury tries to select projects that, in a sense, dialogues with the philosophy of what Albert Camus used to think about what journalism should be. And to be like short, it would mean to us, in a sense, what Rehab has pointed in her work and this book, in this project. It is like giving voice to those one who doesn't have voice. It's also a project. It's also an award that wants to support long-term projects, because it's an award who wants to go beyond what the media goes directly, to unlight and to put the spot, not to put where the media are putting the spot or the lights, but we want to help, in a sense, those kind of projects that are not in the immediacy and they are completely out of the media, in a sense. And this is for sure the project that Rehab is going to explain to us much deeper. Last year in 2022, so our jury, who was composed of Rasha Salti, of Paolo Woods, and Gumersindo Lafuente, selected this work that, as I said, we're gonna present. So I'm gonna ask for the beginning that Rehab could explain this important title, that I think will give a lot of about the project and about what it contains. So I give you the voice, Rehab.
And it has been an actual labor for around 10 years, and I'm just super touched and by the fact that the book is finally there and it's tangible. My deepest apologies. My daughter just wants me to hold another book for her. So yeah, as I mentioned, like, this has been a labor. So this book is actually my first baby, and Aida is my second baby. She was born while right before I actually won the award, both awards, the Trobades and also Fotoevidence. So yeah, let me start by explaining first the project. So The Longing of the Stranger Whose Path Has Been Broken is translated actually it's from a translated Bedouin poetry, and it is in Arabic, شو الغريب اللي تقطع سبيله. And I chose this verse from a Bedouin poetry because I myself come from a fourth generation Bedou who has never lived as a Bedouin. I actually didn't even know that I was Bedouin until I think around 15 years ago when I was sitting down with a Bedouin elder whom I have gained trust and personal connection to throughout the years. And he mentioned Eldalil family, which is Eldalil is translated to the word guide. And he started telling me about Eldalil family who lived in Sinai and have left and went to another city. And funny enough, that city is where my father was born. So that was sort of like a link for me to actually speak to my father and understand more about our Bedouin heritage. I even found out about our Palestinian heritage. And that started off for me to wanting to reconnect to my Bedouin roots. And so the community that I felt very close to is the Jabaliya tribe in St. Catherine's in south of Sinai, whom I've been in personal connections to for so many years. I've been going to south of Sinai, specifically St. Catherine, since I was a little girl. I started having personal connections with the community as a teenager. I would go study there and then go back to Cairo and do my final exams and then go back. It was my second home. And so it was the place and the community that I wanted to explore more what it means to be Bedouin. So we started working on the project, but then I had this question about, do I even have the right to speak about being Bedouin if I'm not Bedouin? And I had this question of, if I had that right to narrate the story, and who am I? And am I Bedouin? Can I consider myself as Bedouin? And that led me to a lot of questioning and a lot of a lot of uh, not just questions but also challenges of who am I and how can I tell that story, until I met Tanya in 2019. And at that point, I didn't even know that the project would grow to become a book. Tanya was my mentor, and we spoke a lot about having this right to narrate and being comfortable to who you are and your voice in the story. And that's when I found power in realizing that I'm a stranger, in the story. I will remain a stranger in the story in a sense. So yeah, I found this power in realizing that no matter how much I try, and no matter how much I'm welcomed into the community, there's always this limit. There's always this line that I can never cross. I can never say I'm Bedouin, and that is in respect to the Bedouinity. And so I decided to embrace the idea that I will always be a stranger somehow. And so I chose this title in order to reference that. And from that point on, my target was to not just talk about the Bedouin heritage and not just talk about the indigenous experience from my voice, to actually invite the community to be part of the conversation. So they started to discuss with me what it means to be Bedouin. They started to discuss with me what it means to belong. And by time these discussions turned into a visual narrative, a visual conversation between me and them. So me with my photography and the community with their traditional mediums. For the women, it's embroidery. For the men, it's poetry. We could speak further about that because I don't want to give a long intro, but that's how the title came up. The project grew to not just to talk about the Bedouin identity, but also speak about the indigenous experience and our human journey, seeking where to belong. So it's not just personal; it became a bit of a universal message.
Well, I think you pointed like your last sentence was about this idea of and I think that's why your project is also so powerful, coming from a personal perspective, but it goes beyond, and becomes a universal story in a sense, so you have this capacity of bringing as guiding us, through a community that perhaps some of us has a kind of stereotypes about it or kind of ideas about it. And also from your last sentence was about this idea of and I think that's why your project is also so powerful, coming from a personal perspective, but it goes beyond, and becomes a universal story in a sense, so you have this capacity of bringing as guiding us, through a community that perhaps some of us has a kind of stereotypes about it or kind of ideas about it. And also from your last sentence was about this idea of from you starting point of being a stranger but being yourself too, and then as you said, in keeping people, inviting people to belong into this project. So finally we're not discovering like different like subjects, but we do discover people, and human beings, when all their complexity, and this is what I think it's one of the, and it's really related also to the writing of Camus in this sense of coming like the idea of stranger for sure, because he has pointed this philosophical question about we are strangers anywhere in a sense, and so you finally accepted in this project that you'll be a stranger, and we in a sense we always be a stranger anywhere, but knowing and from taking from that you take the courage to go inside a community that you feel belonging to, and through it and with them, you construct this incredible project. So perhaps I will ask now, Tanya, that perhaps she could explain us about what a photo editor also, can bring in a kind of project like this, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is, as she introduced Rehab, it's a very, very personal project to her also, very important also. It is not the same also to help editing a process of a photo book or whatever, or photo editing, when becomes so personal, at the same time. So you have like to be very careful on that, and at the same time you want to bring this the story about it in the best way.
So I think that what's interesting or very telling about Rehab as a human, as a person, and the choices that she made.
From you starting point of being a stranger, but being yourself too, and then, as you said, in keeping people, inviting people to belong into this project. So finally, we're not discovering like different like subjects, but we do discover people, and human beings, when all their complexity, and this is what I think it's one of the, and it's really related also to the writing of Camus, in this sense of coming like the idea of stranger, for sure, because he has pointed this philosophical question about we are strangers anywhere, in a sense, and so you finally accepted in this project that you'll be a stranger, and we in a sense we always be a stranger anywhere, but knowing, and from taking from that, you take the courage to go inside a community that you feel belonging to, and through it and with them, you construct this incredible project. So perhaps I will ask now, Tanya, that perhaps she could explain us about what a photo editor also, can bring in a kind of project like this, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is, as she introduced Rehab, it's a very, very personal project to her also, very important also. It is not the same also to help editing a process of a photo book or whatever, or photo editing, when it becomes so personal, at the same time. So you have like to be very careful on that, and at the same time you want to bring this the story about it in the best way,
So I think that what's interesting or very telling about Rehab as a human, as a person, and the choices that she made.
From you starting point of being a stranger, but being yourself too, and then, as you said, in keeping people, inviting people to belong into this project. So finally, we're not discovering like different like subjects, but we do discover people, and human beings, when all their complexity, and this is what I think it's one of the, and it's really related also to the writing of Camus, in this sense of coming like the idea of stranger, for sure, because he has pointed this philosophical question about we are strangers anywhere, in a sense, and so you finally accepted in this project that you'll be a stranger, and we in a sense we always be a stranger anywhere, but knowing, and from taking from that, you take the courage to go inside a community that you feel belonging to, and through it and with them, you construct this incredible project. So perhaps I will ask now, Tanya, that perhaps she could explain us about what a photo editor, but knowing, and from taking from that, you take the courage to go inside a community that you feel belonging to, and through it and with them, you construct this incredible project. So perhaps I will ask now, Tanya, that perhaps she could explain us about what a photo editor also, can bring in a kind of project like this, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is, as she introduced Rehab, it's a very, very personal project to her also, very important also. It is not the same also to help editing a process of a photo book or whatever, or photo editing, when it becomes so personal, at the same time. So you have like to be very careful on that, and at the same time you want to bring this the story about it in the best way,
What's interesting or very telling about Rehab as a human, as a person and the choices that she made in choosing a photo editor, in choosing a book designer, is that with the prominence of this award, of both awards, I mean, really, she could have chosen some book designers that perhaps are more well-known. In fact, she chose a Palestinian designer who had never made a photo book before. And it was her instinct. And she trusted her instinct and she went with that. And then I also suspect in the case of, while I'm a photographer, I'm with Noor, and I've mentored, I'm one of the Arab documentary photo program mentors, but I think in that case, there was instinct and a sense of loyalty, because I was with her at this sort of breakthrough moment that she'd had. So just the fact that she trusts her instincts is a magnificent thing. And I think, and also risked, and the end result is a really unique, beautiful photo book. And to say that the relationship with Rehab, it's, I think the depth of the photo editing came from an instinct of friendship, but also as a mentor, because I saw how far she had come. I saw her aha moment, but I also knew instinctually where she could go. I pushed her. I pushed her to go back for more. I said, okay, this is good, but it can be great. Go further. And we met up for an iconic 2 nights just after her baby was born, just after Ida was born. I brought my kids on vacation in the Sinai. After COVID as well, there hadn't been much travel and I hadn't seen or touched, and all of the was virtual and online. And so she was it was one of the first travels after COVID where I got to see and touch a human that I loved, and in such a place as Sinai, which has magic. And then, meeting her newborn baby, and then her husband, who I have to say is phenomenal, took the child at night, and we would sit when I would get my kids down, and from midnight till 4 a.m. where and I got to go crawl into bed. I think she still went and prayed and then, breastfed. We sat there and she had printed, oh my God, so many pictures. And we just sat there on this, high-end resorts table and pushed all of the pictures around and stared and debated and said, what is missing? What do we want? What can this be? And I think that the tangible element made a difference, but I also think that the relationship of the friendship and the mentor relationship pushed it beyond a conventional photo editing.
I just remember when we had this conversation with Rehab, who's going to work on the book. And she said, Tanya was my mentor. So I think, and I know Tanya from 10 years, and that's the perfect choice. I mean, she knows the whole story from the beginning. She grew up with the story and it happened the story. So it was really, I trusted her 100%, and the book is a proof.
And so perhaps, Svetlana, you can explain a little bit of this start, because of this start of producing the book. I mean, the project was there, the pictures were incredible, but then something is to have the pictures and then to have the narrative that for sure the photo editing of Tanya helped, but then how to decide about the project of the book itself,
I mean, the book is the fruit of the W Award, Fotoevidence W Award, which is an annual award given to a woman that wants to tell personal story in the form of a book. So personal is very important because it opened the boundaries of pure photojournalism, something that is expected from photo evidence. So Rehab was just the perfect case. And the entire jury of 8 other women editors and curators, there were no doubt who would be the winner. So it was Rehab. And she was happy. I was very happy because I saw the potential, and I knew the importance of having this book produced. And when she showed up with the idea of Tanya to be the editor, I was confident that things going to go in the right direction. And of course, I enjoyed the way Bayan start seeing the book and finish it. And you appear exactly on time because we weren't sure this font or that font. And you knew a lot about this, so you help us to select the right one. That was pretty much it. It is one of the best books that we ever published. That's how I feel.
I just wanted to say that this really, I didn't understand until this moment, listening to Svetlana, what's a holistic, full circle, and matriarchal link this is. Because first of all, it's the grandma of Camus. And then we have, my first book was with Fotoevidence with Svetlana over 10 years ago. And then, that process pushed me further in and into the process of who I was. And I realized that I'm going in depth, that I found teaching to be extremely fulfilling. And that pushed me into the path of Rehab. And then, of course, Rehab, and I'll let you take over from here on your feelings of the matriarchal element of this project.
I mean, it's enough that we're here 4 women or 4 women and a half if we're including Aida as well. And yeah, I mean, what you're saying right now, Tanya, it's putting a smile on my face because there's all of these links. I think it was for me a full circle when you accepted to be the photo editor for the book, because as you said, the leap that I got, the project has connected different women from different backgrounds and coming together in order to create this. I think it's a huge statement, to be completely honest.
You've been working on this project almost like 10 years, I mean, for the audience that didn't know that afterwards, then you meet Tanya, you go further on that, then you got the different 2 prizes, then you finally got onto the book. And perhaps what we can go, it was in this idea that I wanted like to continue about because the thing is, talking about this community for you, about the what it means to you, what it means to belong to you as a stranger, but at the same time the necessity for you to talk about them, about what they're going through, and you do it in a very personal way and very intimate way. And as you say, and I think what this is for me one of the most incredible thing about the project, you do it within the community. And so for that, you have also choose to show a different category of images that I think it's important, perhaps, not try to reveal the book, and we hope all our audience gonna buy the book and gonna be in all the presentation that you're gonna do all around the world. But I think it would be nice if we can go through different ideas of what are coming into the book, about the broderies, about the plants, about the double pages or the 2 different images. I mean, to explain a little bit how you make this kind of cadence that finally I think that gives the particularity and the specificity of this particular photo book.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to start off with the collaboration that I started with the Bedouin women. The Bedouin women, they, as strong as they are within the community, and as open as they are to community members, they have created sort of these rules, and that was as a result of a lot of misrepresentations that have happened to the Bedouin women over the years. If you Google Bedouin women, you would find, this woman sitting down, making bread, hiding her face, or looking very shy or innocent. But in reality, the Bedouin women are a huge part of the community dynamic. They are the women who, they're the ones who work on daily basis. Even on their wedding day, they still work. Men work mainly as freelancers, so they are actually the main caretakers of the children, while the women are the ones who work all the time. And they have these rules against being photographed, and that is because of how they have been misrepresented. And so even the women that I've had strong personal connections to, they were really skeptic about being photographed and how they would be photographed. And if these photographs would go online, how would people see them? And could they get out of context? And so it took me quite a while to try to see how could I include the voices of the women in a way that would respect them and would give them the opportunity to have agency over their representations.
The issue of representation of women of the community, of the Bedouin woman, is one of the most remarkable things about this book, because as a Jordanian, as a photographer who has been given assignments at times that I found quite obnoxious, photograph the Bedouin community and make sure that you get the USAID sticker of the water tank where we've donated to the community. Oh, and make sure you get the woman. Make sure you get the woman. And there's this obsession where they think they're being representative and respectful by insisting on forcing women of communities that perhaps don't want to be photographed. And it's invasive. And there's this obsession that I haven't seen as strongly. I mean, it's almost, harken back to, again, let's talk Camus, let's talk North Africa, let's talk about forcibly removing the fetish of the hijab. But I mean, beyond that, the Bedouin community, whether it's journalistic or NGO or simply fantasy fetish tourism, there's this idea that we can't access them and we must. And I can't tell you how many times I've been pushed. Well, make sure you get the woman. And I just, if I'm documenting that community, and I'll say, no, they don't want to be photographed, and I refuse, and I put my foot down. And then I can't tell you how many times that somebody on the team that I'm with will come up defiantly bragging, I got a picture of a woman from behind making bread. And I'm like, great picture. One, it's a crop picture. Two, that looks like 1,000 other, just why are you, it's almost rapey. And so it was incredibly refreshing to see women of this community be involved in the representation, to see such beautiful imagery that reminds me of what you can experience when you're not trying to take or shove your camera. And it's just so representative and beautiful and unique.
Yeah. And I think it's very well connected also with the other pictures, that go in this dialectic of revealing and unveiling, and it's just like she's like questioning all the time the medium of photography, what is used for it, in a sense. And even though as this incredible picture, we don't see the faces, but we can feel the identity of the person that we see in there, even though we don't see it directly, and she plays with that. So with those images are embroidered by the women themselves, and then at the same time the other pictures where we don't see directly the faces, but at the same time we see them, and we see them as they want to be pointed, and so I think that they really work very well in this idea of embracing really the community. They're not stolen, are you saying? And I think this is extremely important for the project, and also for the necessity of different visual stories that we have seen so many terrible things before. That's it's a lucky time to see stories written this way, in a sense.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And it was, of course, a bit of a struggle at the beginning to try to find out a way that would make the women comfortable, would make them happy to be part of the process. So yeah, going back to the process itself, embroidery is a very traditional medium for the Bedouin women. It's a way for them to self-express and a way for them to create things to sell and actually, you know, be the breadwinners of the house. So, and it's an art, you know, Bedouin women are artists, you know. So at the beginning it was hard to try it out myself. So what I did is that I asked Hajja Rabia to embroider onto the image that I printed on fabric of the almond garden, and so she instinctively just embroidered herself. That started out the series of embroidered photographs, and I'm glad that Sandra, that you switched to this embroidered one, because Nadia here, the agreement was that I would take a photograph of her, and then she and her cousin Mariam, they would embroider over her face so that they would hide her face. So I printed the image on fabric. I gave it to her with a bunch of variety of threads, beads, and needles, so that she could, you know, she could choose whatever she wants, and the different colors and the different threads and stuff that she wants to use. And I was surprised that she gave it to me back highlighting her face. And what she said is that she said, when I received the image on the fabric, I realized that it's not about hiding my identity as much as having power over my identity in the image. And so eventually she decided to celebrate, you know, her face, her beauty, and celebrate herself within the piece, rather than hide it as it was the initial plan. So within that series, the women had this full power and control over what to show and what to hide in the embroidered photographs. And they did, and at some points they would decide to embroider on images of their families, on images of their neighborhood. They would do commentary over water, for example, with an embroidered piece of dried land, and one of the women, I think it was Yasmin, embroidered flower over it. So it became this visual conversation between photography and embroidery, between myself, my voice, and the voices of the Bedouin women. And it was very important to acknowledge their effort and this collaboration within the book. So there's a special page at the end that acknowledges all of the women who took part in the embroidery process.
But also, you know, I mean, for you, you always say that, and I think it's very important to highlight this idea of celebrating. You know? For you, it's all of it's a sort of a ritual of celebration. This book, you know, celebrating and you do it with women, and you also do it trying to celebrate what is finally the most important part also of the Bedouin culture. I mean, how their plants and the fauna and flora finally, you know, it's the what that make them living, you know. And so you have a specificity in order like to introduce us with that, and with this idea of what the plants are and what they mean, and the benefits of each of them, that I think also is very, very interesting.
Yeah, thank you. Well, that was the contribution of the older members of the community, both men and women, and the flora of Sinai was always their answer when I asked them what it means to belong. Once I asked them what it means to belong, they just say the flora. The flora is there, the land is there, that has helped us thrive and survive throughout the years, you know, and that actually ignited this idea that this interconnectedness and this deep connection within between the land and the community is actually the definition of belonging, you know. So together with the older members of the community, we started foraging the flora. We started collecting the beneficial herbs and plants around south of Sinai, specifically St. Catherine's. And each contributor who forages the plant, they would write in their own handwriting the benefits of this specific plant. So we created sort of this archive of the flora that also reflects the identity of the Bedouin community and the heritage and their deep connection to the land. And so what you see here is, and it's in the book in translucent paper, pages from a separate field guide that the community is now using. And yeah, it would be great to show the. So it's as if you're actually touching the plant, and you're sort of planting the plant over the image next to it. And when you look at the page, you could see the handwriting of each community member, and it's translated in English so people would understand the benefits of that plant.
Just what she was talking about, the amazing translucent paper that you put on top of, for example, the dirt that she said gave this element of planting, but it also gives this element of replenishing, because the dirt is quite dried, and then you put this beautiful translucent paper on it, and it's just this magical, tangible. That's the thing about this book. It's a guide, it's a metaphor, it's a poem, it's an archive, but it's interactive and not in a gimmicky way. There's quite a lot of depth to it, and I think that's also another benefit of her instinct of choosing Bayan, because that was actually Bayan's idea. And the reason she chose Bayan, if you look at Bayan's Instagram, she does these out of the box, like, personal poems and diaries, and just sort of doesn't really follow any rules. She's just this emotive, quirky, brilliant designer, and it was that instinct. Yeah, and I think that. And you can see it here. And again, how many people Svetlana, would have insisted and chosen a designer that had never done a photo book?
How many publishers do you know that would agree on this?
Even better point.
Yeah.
That's true.
But for the good of, I just trust her help. That was it. And you, because you also said good words for Bayan.
The project is that you go to the whole community, I mean, you haven't decided only to focus on women, and give them, the power in order to be implicated in their images. You're not only, focusing about, describing us how the flora is and the benefits for the community, or even showing us, the incredible landscape and everything, but you go through the different, parts of the community. And you give them voice, and you give them their place, in each part of the book and of the project. And so I think it's important to point also that you give voice also to the men, and in a very interesting way too. And so I like you to explain a little bit about it too.
Thank you, Sandra. I love how you've explained this, because it would have been easy to just and I was encouraged to do that actually by so many other editors in the past, to just focus on one specific segment. Like, if I'm doing the series of embroidery with the women, that's it. But it just didn't feel like I'm gonna be able to celebrate the entire community, because the community are not just the Bedouin women, and it's not just the older members, it's everyone. And so this collaboration with the men, it came very organically, because poetry for the Bedouins in general, but the Bedouin men in specific, is this. It's sort of like their way to express themselves, to open up and actually like say things that they feel without being too direct, And it became this way for the Bedou to express themselves and speak about discrimination, speak about the issues that they have been going on, speak about their love. They express their love through poetry, and it becomes this way to open up to the world. And so within this project, I started collecting original poetry written by the Bedouin men. Specifically in the book, all of the poetry is written by Suleiman Abdurrahman, and the title of the project is taken from a poetry by Mahmoud, who's also a Bedouin from the Tarfa village. And so, and yeah, here, for example, the poetry, you see the handwriting and then you see the translation in English, but then you could scan the QR code and listen to
Mhm.
Suleiman reciting his own poetry.
Mhm.
And poetry became this answer for me to include the Bedouin men, but also this answer to describe the discrimination the Bedouin community goes through without being too direct. I wanted to be subtle in order to protect this Suleiman, and I wanted to protect the community from saying explicitly the discrimination that they go through. So actually, using poetry became this way to subtly describe the struggles, the challenges that the community goes through in a way that does not victimize them and does not put them in a harm's way.
Mhm.
um, and it was important to add the handwriting of the poets because it becomes this sort of still visual dialect or visual conversation between them and myself. So in a lot of the images, you would feel as if it's actual diptychs. It's
Mhm.
not just, it's not captions or anything. It's more of like a tangible visual item within the project and within the book. Here you could really feel that it's a diptych.
Mhm. Here we can see some of the beautiful, amazing place where everything is located, and I like to finish also with this image, that in a sense also it's part of the end of the book, because we can feel like the power that comes through to you through this project, and that you give them also to them, in a sense, through this project. I mean, like those three women's, and you there too, because you're there. And this is very beautiful also, the way you're writing it in the book, giving us your story about, and or your sensitivity on it. And I think this is what it's amazing about this project, that you don't keep it, you don't keep this distance with it, you keep like this proximity, and at the same time you make us people that are perhaps, who doesn't know at all about the reality, we get into a story that doesn't become a stranger story at the end, and this is what I think it's incredible, that finally we feel like belonging to, and understanding who they are and who you are, in a sense, so I really thank you about this amazing project. I know that is your first baby, and the first birth is always very difficult to have.
Yes,
We only hope,
absolutely.
like, yeah, we only hope to accompany you, the best we can from the Trobades, and
Thank you.
we gonna have you in Menorca in April. We already have your tickets and everything, so we're really happy to welcome you in this small island that I think you will feel like at home also, and we'll do our best that you feel at home too. And
Thank you.
we thank you really again for you, this incredible project, and we are sure, all of us, that we have been part of this project. I mean, Tanya, Svetlana, and Bayan, that we have talked about. We are sure that this project is gonna go beyond, for sure the borders of Egypt, and for sure the borders of Europe. So we wish you the best of luck, and we thank you again.
Thank you so much, Sandra, and thank you for the beautiful articulation of the stranger within the project. It's just really beautiful. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate your support.
I was very
Yeah.
happy. Thank you, Sandra, for inviting me to be part of this beautiful community of women artists, wonderful Tanya and talented